Let's begin with the first chapter, that is subject and predicate. We had learned about this chapter in our earlier classes also. To check our knowledge about this topic, here is a warm-up, here is an exercise, and the exercise is about to match each subject with the most appropriate predicate. Here are the subjects and here are the predicates. We need to match them with each other. The first subject is the man, and it would go with D. The man stood under the banyan tree. The second subject is the clowns. The clowns made everyone laugh with their antics. The third subject is something. That would go with something is not quite right. The fourth subject is cold winds. It would go with the cold winds blew down from the icy peaks. The sight. The fifth subject is the sight. The sight made our blood curdle. And the sixth and the last subject is what. It would go with the B. What happens here stays a secret. Alright, in this way we have matched all the subjects with the appropriate predicates and it has become proper sentence. Now let's begin the chapter by reading this definition of sentence. What's a sentence? The sentence is the most important grouping of words because it expresses a complete thought. A most important grouping of words as it expresses a complete thought. There must be a complete thought, not incomplete thought. Every sentence has a subject and a predicate. As we did earlier, there was a subject and a predicate. If they are not, then it's not a complete sentence. We can't call them sentence. The basic structure of a sentence. What's the basic structure of a sentence? Every sentence has a subject, which is the person, thing that the sentence is about, and a predicate. There must be a predicate also, which is what the sentences say about the subject. Predicate always tells about the subject. The predicate always has a finite verb. This finite verb is the most important word in the sentence. There must be a finite verb in the predicate. Clear? The next definition is about the head word. What's the head word? The most important word of the subject is called the head word. The subject can be of more than one word, but the most important word would be called the head word of the subject. Right? About which is that sentence. That is called head word, and that would always be a noun. Noun, the naming word of a person, of a place, of a thing. That would always be a noun. Clear? What is head word? The important word of the subject is the head word. Now here are some examples. In following examples, the subject is highlighted and the predicate is italicized. How would we recognize the subject? It is highlighted in the dark letters and the predicate is italicized, means little bit bended. Alright? And how would we recognize the verb? Verb is both italicized and bold black in color. With the head word is, while the head word is underlined. How would we recognize the head word that is underlined. Let's see the examples. First example is a dirty dish lay on the floor. Here the bold letters are a dirty dish. That means they are subject. And the leftover part of the sentence is predicate. And the underlined word is dish. And dish is the head word. Then after, the rules were saying that the verb is both italicized and in bold black. This word lay is italicized and bold as well. That means lay is verb. Clear? In the second sentence, the brakes of the car. This part is the subject. And the leftover part is the predicate, as it's telling about the subject. Underlined word, here it is the underlined word, it is the head word. And the bold and italicized words were not working. So it's a verb. So is it clear? The third and the fourth example, let's read out them. The dog barked. Here we need to note down that the predicate may consist of just the finite verb and nothing else. Here predicate is only the finite verb. The predicate is only the finite verb. In the fourth sentence, something was worrying them yesterday. Here, the head word may be the complete subject. Here, a single head word is the complete subject. It doesn't matter that it's a single word, but it can be the complete subject. Clear? Then, let's move ahead to the parts of the predicate. Saying that for certain nouns or noun-like words, expressions that are pronouns, noun infinitives, gerunds, noun phrases or noun clauses in the predicate of a sentence are of extreme importance. Now they are talking about direct object and indirect object. In a sentence, there may be direct object and indirect object as well. The direct object of the verb is mostly a thing, and the answers of the question introduced by what. The word that would give the answer of what would be the direct object. And indirect object of the verb is mostly a person. Mostly a person. And answers the question introduced by whom. The word that would give the answer of whom would be the indirect object. And next is a noun or noun-like word or expression which follows a preposition is called an object of that preposition or a prepositional object. You will more understand it more with the help of this example. The boy showed the little girl an old photograph which he had found in his grey trunk. Here the subject is the boy. Showed is verb. The little girl. Now the verb is showed. Action of showing is being happened. What thing is the boy showing? An old photograph. So an old photograph is giving the answer of what? So it's a direct object. And to whom is he showing? He is showing to the little girl. It's giving the answer of whom. So it's an indirect object. Alright, and the leftover sentence is prepositional phrase or adverbial phrase, as here is preposition and here is the adverb. Is it clear? Next are some more rules about the objects, direct object and indirect object. As we have seen, a sentence need not have any object in it at all. Sometimes there is no need of any object at all. For example, the dog barked. The dog is the subject, barked is the verb, but there is no need of object. Next rule is, if it has a direct object, the finite verb acts transitively. In other cases, the verb acts intransitively. If it has a direct object, then finite verb would act as transitively. Remember, if there is object, it would be transitive verb, and if there is no object, then it is intransitive. Next is, if a sentence has a direct object, then it may not have an indirect object. For example, he bought a pen. If there is a direct object, it's a subject, he is subject, bought is a verb, and a pen is a direct object, as it's giving the answer of what did he bought, and it's a direct object. If there is no indirect object, then it doesn't matter. But if it has an indirect object, then it has to have a direct object. For example, he bought me a pen. He is the subject, bought is the verb, and it is the indirect object. He bought me. It is not an appropriate sentence if there is no direct object. A pen is a direct object, as it's giving the answer of what, and me is giving the answer of to whom. To whom did he bought a pen? Next is, an indirect object can be converted into a prepositional object also. For example, he bought a pen for me. Here is a simple object, and if for is added with it, it becomes a prepositional object. Clear? These sentences have an indirect object. The indirect object is the recipient of the direct object, who receives any object. Clear? Here me is the recipient. Let's do this exercise to know more about this topic, direct object and indirect object. Write DO about the direct object and IO for the indirect object in these sentences. Write NO for sentences where there is no object. Clear? So the first sentence is, Mrs. Lal bought a smart coat for her youngest daughter. Here in this sentence, Mrs. Lal is the subject, bought is the verb. A smart coat, what did Mrs. Lal bought? A smart coat. So a smart coat is the direct object. So we would write DO. And for her youngest daughter, it's giving the answer of whom. So we would write IO with the her youngest daughter. Clear? Next is, Sandeep gave me the book yesterday. Here Sandeep is the subject. What did Sandeep do? The action is gave. Verb is gave. What did Sandeep give? The book. The answer of what is coming from this word? The book. So the book is direct object. And to whom is he giving? To whom did he give? To me. So me is the indirect object. Next is Johnson drove the car. Johnson is the subject, drove is the verb, and what did Johnson drive? The car. The answer of what is coming from the car. So the car is direct object. Next is the rabbit jumped high in the air. The rabbit is the subject, jumped is the verb, but there is no object. We can't find the answer of what. So here we would write NO, no object. Clear? Next is Nitin sang a song for his friend. Here Nitin is subject, action is sang. What did he sang? A song. So a song is direct object. Whom, for whom? He sang for his friend, and it's the indirect object. Next is give me that box at once. Me is the indirect object. What's answer is that box. So that box is direct object. Clear? Next is the flowers that were given to Bonnie by Sukhi have withered. What did Sukhi give? The flowers. So the flowers are direct object. And to whom did Sukhi give? Bonnie. Whom's answer is coming from the Bonnie. So Bonnie is indirect object. Next is the shark swished its tail. The shark is the subject, swished its tail. Its tail. What did she swished? Its tail. So its tail is the direct object. And here is no indirect object. Clear? So in this way, we cleared the topic direct object and indirect object. If you have any kind of doubt, you may ask in the comment box, and we will meet again in future. Till then, keep practicing and keep watching. Bye.